In criminal law, incitement is the encouragement of another person to commit a crime. Depending on the jurisdiction, some or all types of incitement may be illegal. Where illegal, it is known as an inchoate offense, where harm is intended but may or may not have actually occurred. Incitement was an offense under the common law of England and Wales. It was an inchoate offense. It consisted of persuading, encouraging, instigating, pressuring, or threatening so as to cause another to commit a crime. It was abolished in England and Wales on 1 October 2008 when Part 2 of the Serious Crime Act 2007 came into force, replacing it with 3 new statutory offences of encouraging or assisting crime. The common law is now only relevant to offences committed before that date. The rationale of incitement matches the general justification underpinning the other inchoate offences of conspiracy and attempt by allowing the police to intervene before a criminal act is completed and the harm or injury is actually caused. There is considerable overlap, particularly where 2 or more individuals are involved in criminal activity. The plan to commit crime may exist only in the mind of one person until others are incited to join in, at which point the social danger becomes more real. The offense overlaps the offenses of counseling or procuring as an accessory. Indeed, in the early case of R.V. Higgins, incitement was defined as being committed when one person counsels, procures or commands another to commit a crime, whether or not that person commits the crime. The words counsel and procure were later adopted in Section 8 of the Accessories and Abettors Act 1861 as 2 of the 4 forms of accessory. In A.G.'s reference, Widgery C.J. said, to procure means to produce by endeavor. You procure a thing by setting out to see that it happens and taking the appropriate steps to produce that happening. We think that there are plenty of instances in which a person may be said to procure the commission of a crime by another even though there is no sort of conspiracy between the two. Even though there is no attempt at agreement or discussion as to the form which the offense should take. But secondary liability is derivative and dependent on the commission of the substantive offense by the principal offender. This is too late to avert the harm. Thus, the offense of incitement has been preserved to allow the police to intervene at an earlier time and so avert the threatened harm. The inciter must intend the others to engage in the behavior constituting the offense, including any consequences which may result, and must know or believe that those others will have the relevant mens rea. In R.V. Kerr, the defendant allegedly incited women to commit offences under the Family Allowances Act 1945 but, because the prosecution did not prove that the women had the mens rea to constitute the offence, the conviction was quashed. Fenton Atkinson J. explained that, in our view, the argument for the prosecution here gives no effect to the word knowing in, and in our view could only be guilty if the woman solicited that is, the woman agent sent to collect the allowance, knew that the action she was asked to carry out amounted to an offense. In R.V. Whitehouse, a father was charged with inciting his 15-year-old daughter to have sexual intercourse with him. At this age, she would have been excused from liability for committing the offense of incest with her father. The conviction was quashed on appeal and Scarman L.J. explained that, we have therefore come to the conclusion, with regret, that the indictment does not disclose an offense known to the law because it cannot be a crime on the part of this girl aged 15 to have sexual intercourse with her father, though it is of course a crime and a very serious crime on the part of the father. There is here incitement to a course of conduct, but that course of conduct cannot be treated as a crime by the girl. He continued, it is regrettable indeed that a man who importunes his daughter under the age of 16 to have sexual intercourse with him but does not go beyond incitement cannot be guilty of a crime. The Court of Appeal in R.V. Claydon. It was argued by the Crown that, although the boy could not in law have committed the act incited, it was nevertheless quite possible for the defendant to incite him. Having considered R.V. Whitehouse and R.V. Pickford, the Court of Appeal felt obliged to reject that argument. As Laws J. said in Pickford, it is a necessary element of the element of incitement that the person incited must be capable of committing the primary crime. The court agreed because the focus of the offense of inciting is solely on the acts and intention of the inciter, while the intention of the person incited are not relevant when considering whether the offense of incitement has been committed. It further endorsed the views of Smith and Hogan, who criticized the decision in Kerr on the bar.